Kate Bowler is a professor at Duke Divinity School. She lives in Durham, North Carolina with her husband Tobin and her son Zach. And she has been teaching at this United Methodist Seminary for a few years. And just a couple years ago, she was diagnosed with cancer. She's stage 4 cancer. And it prompted her to write a book that is entitled Everything Happens for a Reason and Other Lies That I Have Loved. And I have found this reading to be so compelling that I wanted to share an excerpt of that with you this evening. It comes in chapter 8 that she entitles Restoration. And she begins her chapter 8 with these words: I've taken up cursing for Lent. The 40-day stretch before Easter in which those who want to understand Jesus' sacrifice choose one of their own. They promise to abandon vices or take up spiritual practices or simply give up chocolate, like every 14-year-old girl I knew at St. Mary's Academy. As adults, most do-gooders I know give up alcohol or spend more time in prayer, or like me, I've started swearing. I mean it. I swear. I swear about cancer. I swear about dry croissants and coffee that cools too quickly. And I swear about budding ulcers in my mouth from intense chemotherapy. I swear about the refugee crisis in Europe, and I swear before and after I receive test results, even though I'm tremendously relieved that so far the tumors are still shrinking. I swear about Curious George whining to the man in the yellow hat. I'm relentless in my swearing. I read an article about how people in grief swear because they feel the English language has reached its limit in a time of inarticulate sorrow. Or at least that's what I tell people when I casually drop an F-bomb over lunch as I explain the mysteries of Lent. I have rather childishly told God that I will stop swearing at the end of Lent. But the truth is, I'm swearing because of Lent. It started on Ash Wednesday. I had another set of scans for my cancer, and Catherine, one of my very best friends, drove hours from Atlanta, Georgia, so that she could wait together with me for the results. And we found it was an Ash Wednesday service at a local Catholic church that we would linger together with. She says that she always thought the Catholics did these things right, so that's why they went to a Catholic church. I've seen the morning of a Lent of 1,000,000 times, from Ash Wednesday to Holy Saturday, the sad kiss of the overturned cross of those Catholics at the front of the chapel, scraping their knees on the floor as they ignored the stares of strangers and friends, the shuffle past the inscription around the church marking the stations of the cross, and then the priest dips his thumb into the burnt ashes and marks their head with the sign of the cross, and he whispers the last part of Genesis chapter 3, verse 19, from dust you have come, to dust you shall return. It's so grim, and there's no denying our finitude. It's the plain truth of things. Unfortunately, Catherine and I stumble upon a thriving Catholic church with a lot of lovely people. I'm sure that they just want to kind of experience a little bit of Lent, a tiny bit better experience of their Christian life. And that's what the priest actually calls it. You're going to be a tiny bit better for experiencing Lent. Think about volunteering once or twice, they're told. Be nice to people at work, and don't forget that your gifts are special. And then he doles out the ashes on all those coming forward in the cheer of Snow White sending off her industrious dwarfs off to the mines. A few years ago, she was in Houston at the megachurch capital of the country, interviewing prosperity leaders about a book that she was writing, and she had the opportunity on a busy Holy Week, she found herself on Good Friday, and she went to Joel Osteen's church. And what she experienced there was, as she came to the parking lot attendant said, "Well, happy Good Friday," and then chirped the woman at the station at the bottom of the escalator into the stadium, "Happy Good Friday." By the umpteenth greeting of "Happy Good Friday," it seemed like the order of the day. This was, I suspect, going to be the happiest Good Friday service I had ever attended. I'm facing death, and the church has demanded that for the 40 days of Lent, everyone else should stare down with me the truth of that for themselves. But everyone else is trying to Easter up my Lent, I say to my friends. And so I'm sitting across from my friend Ray, who is a pediatric oncologist, which is to say that every day he talks to children and parents about tumors and white blood cell counts and life expectancy. Does it hurt to die, I ask? In the hospital, I mean. He pauses. "No," he says finally. "Not really. I mean, not as much." He has already promised me that if I fight hard as I can, if I agree to be blasted with whatever drugs and endure whatever side effects, he will make the end as comfortable as possible. I don't tell anyone that, but I think about it sometimes when I wonder how long I can bear the side effects or the needles or look into the people's eyes. "Are you okay?" he asks. Yes, I'm okay. Except for about 10 minutes a day, I'm okay. Anyone else would have left it there. He looks me carefully in the eyes. "What does it look like? Those 10 minutes?" he asks. I think about his question for a long time as I watch Tobin and Zach across the lawn, and I see Tobin taking out his wrench set to fix the lawnmower, and Zach hoping and hopping around him. He's leaking his purple popsicle all over the equipment, and Tobin looks at him and frustrated and amused. I know exactly how it feels. I finally say, my eyes not off of the boys. It feels like I'm hungry, and I'm never going to be full again. I swear for all of Lent, every inch of Lent, I swear. And then one Sunday brunch, like a fever, it breaks. My friend Blair and I are sitting over perfectly cured bacon and eggs that float on a tender southern biscuit, and she announces that her death thoughts are coming back. She's weaning herself off antidepressants. Now the things in her life are chugging along well, but all that familiar worry about her mortality resurfaces. Her dad is suffering from early onset Alzheimer's, and the man she once knew is now confused and alien to her. But every time her memory slips, she's brought back to the possible future that she too could have the same thing happen to her. She could take the genetic test and she could find out, but then she would have to live with the inevitability of her own decline, she says, and the prospect that she might lose decades of moments with her husband that she adores and the life that they've built together. She can't bear the answer, and I realize deep into her storytelling, I'm smiling ear to ear. Why? Why am I smiling like the worst person in the earth? I'm so sorry, I say. It's not that I would ever want this to happen to you. I'm sorry for saying this, but you live here too. What do you mean? You live with an uncertain future. You live here too. And I'm so sorry, but I'm so effing grateful that you are here. And as I start to cry over our upscale brunch, Blair starts laughing even louder. Friends, you and I are fragile. We're fragile because we're human. And we all will have our end someday. The truth is that our presence is precarious. And we need to know about that end so that we know how to live in the meantime. This quote from Isaiah puts it well for me this Lenten season. Remove the yoke from among you, the pointing of the finger and the speaking of evil. Remove the pointing of the finger. That's no way to live when we know that life is precarious. We can't live judging. We have to live loving. And living into holy observances of Lent, this Ash Wednesday marks that beginning for us. That when we know our precarious life that we have, we must live it to the fullest. And so I invite you to observe a holy Lent this season.